Welcome to Shh, Tell Me Everything. Okay, welcome everybody. Tell Me Everything. I am so excited to be here with my good friend Dallan Knudsen, who is the owner of Anywhere Movers here in Utah. Guys, this man is incredible. Not only does he run a rocking moving company where he knows how to run his teams, price things right, and is just killing it here in Northern Utah, he's just a cool guy who really has some that energy about him. When you're around Dallan, you feel better about yourself. You have, I mean, just I can't even explain it. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to invite Dallan here today is Dallan, I want to know your secret. So, tell me everything. Tell me everything. How do you do it?
Oh man, I don't know how I do it. I'll be honest with that. But first, glad to be on your podcast, Kristy. This is fun. I'm glad I'm one of your first guests and we're figuring this out together. But I'm yeah, I've been in business 3.5 years now with Anywhere Movers. It's been very backbusting. It's been really fun though. And we're now to a point where, last year we did just over $500,000 in business or in revenue. And this year we're on track to top that a little bit more. We have 9 employees right now. We keep most of them busy on a weekly basis, and it's just a wild ride doing this moving stuff.
Woo! I mean, you say that very casually, and it's been fun. I've gotten to see a little bit of the process. I've known you for a few years now as you've grown it, and it's been incredible to watch. It really is. Okay, so Dallan, I've asked you to come in prepared
Okay.
with one secret that you can share with us and our audience of basically me right now.
Okay. Yeah.
But I want to know, what is one thing in your life that has made all the difference? Will you share that secret with us?
Yeah. Well, I think this is something I've been trying to live by just in the last few months, and it's kind of what I want to continue forward with. But the secret that I'm trying to live right now is you have to understand that there's things in your control and there's things not in your control, and they both want your time. And so it's really important to give the things in your control more time in your life because that will actually affect the things in your life, more happiness, more money. Where if you keep focusing on stuff you can't control, like politics, the economy, housing market, whatever, but if you put a lot more time in that, it's not going to change your life. So it's just really important to put more time on the things you can control. And that's what I've been trying to do.
Okay, so like, what does this look like for you?
So I think for me in my business, it's really trying to focus and make the goals on, hey, actually push the needle forward in my business and to not get sidetracked on all the fun little things that are good for the business, but don't push the needle forward.
Okay, but like what? Because I do love fun little things. So like, what do you mean?
Oh, I know. Fun little things are fun. Well, I am, I guess, a very organized person. And so I'll have little ideas like, "Ooh, I want to organize this a little bit better in my office or in the truck." And I can spend time doing that type of stuff when in reality, maybe I should just been calling realtor brokerages and trying to set up appointments that I could go network with them. And so I can definitely get caught up. There's a lot, and I just recently barely took over my whole business. I had a business partner for the first 3 years of my business. I just bought him out. And so now I'm in the office alone most of the day. So it's very easy to get in my own thoughts, pull out my phone, get distracted on the little things that don't push that needle forward, things I can't control. And I'm trying to do things I can control and do the things that really push that needle forward.
This reminds me of, like, I don't know, have you ever read the book 10X? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so
I
it's
have
it's
once,
not,
I think, but
yeah, but or being back in, okay, at some point. So the author gives the example of Michelangelo carving the David, right? And he gives this big chunk of marble, and he's got to carve the David, and somebody asked him, "Well, how did you do it? How did you carve the David?" And he said, "Well, it's simple. I just took away everything that's not the David."
interesting.
Right? And so that I have the same problem of like, "Oh, man, I have so many things I wanna do." Like, we could do this or this or this, and, like, all these ideas that really we could do all these
Yeah.
things, but then I look at my office and I have a pile of everything I could do, and I've not really made any progress on a bunch of them because, or any of them, because I'm spread a little bit too wide. And
Yeah.
trying to come back to like, "Oh, what if I just focused on the thing?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If there was something that was like, and took away everything else that wasn't the David, everything else that wasn't the actual main goal.
Well, that's kinda been at least the struggle for me. So, being an entrepreneur, it's different challenges. You're kind of the one that's reliable for if your employees have enough work that day, if you're gonna meet payroll. So it's a lot more on your shoulders. So it's you got to be extra disciplined, even though when you're the entrepreneur, when you're the fun owner of the business, you want to do all these fun things, but you got to dial it in and try to be a little bit more disciplined on what's really going to move that needle forward. And then you can go have some fun once you dial some stuff in and get someone to help you do those things. Because I think that's why we want to become entrepreneurs, so we can have a little bit more fun in life and hopefully a little bit extra income, even though we're working a lot more hours than we wish sometimes. But
See, it's you get to work whatever 90 hours you want, right? Like,
exactly.
okay, so was it always like this in your business or in your life? Or did it just like when did you start to operate like this or try to operate like this, I guess?
I would say the whole buyout process of my business has been kind of the thing that's kind of shifted and changed because before I bought out my business partner, he could share quite a bit of those tasks and it felt easier to do those little tiny things because someone else is covering, some other big things that are important. But now that I'm taking over the full business, these last few months have I've had to redial in how to be more disciplined, kind of really focus on, hey, what's actually going to push the business forward, and I'm trying to step up to the plate on doing the bigger things a little bit more now. So I feel like it's just kind of been recently. Yeah.
And like, so, okay, for those of you listening, Dallin is such, like I said, he's such a fun person. Like you can tell, like fun and happiness, like just are there. They surround Dallin in the bubble wherever he goes. And I'm interested, like this idea to focus on the things that you have control over, right?
Yeah.
And not the things you can't. Do you see it playing out in other places in your life too? Like, did you pull it from other places in your life and bring it into work, or like where'd this come from?
Um so I think I get your question, but in my personal life, definitely with family time, it's easy to be on my phone doing social media and that's kind of fun scrolling, but I can't really control that. I don't even really get to control what I see anymore because the algorithm, the social media pages, they just show you what they want to show you. So I've been trying to, remove myself from that a little bit more. And even recently, like my wife and I had chatted that, hey, it'd be a good idea for us that when I come home from work, I put my phone down just for 20 minutes. 20 minutes so I can focus on her and my little boy Boston, because oftentimes I'll come home from work and then I'll get a business call in the first 3 minutes and then I have to go take it in the other room. And I wanna take those business calls, but I also wanna focus on my family, and so that's something that we're trying to control a little bit more and not be outrageous with it, but just, "Hey, 20 minutes, let's just kinda focus on family for a little bit," and so that's just kinda where that principle is trying to apply in my personal life.
Oh.
But we haven't done it too long yet, we're trying to do it more, and I know it's gonna be good stuff, it's just trying to do those little things in life that will bring you more happiness, so
Like focus on the things that you can actually control. Like what are the things you can
you can control how hard you work in a day. You can control how often you're getting distracted. You can control what you're eating that day, right? You can control how you treat your spouse, your friends, your family. So those are all things you can control. And sometimes you put those things on the wayside or you eat kind of crummy, for a week and you feel it later. So but I don't know, what things in your life do you feel like you can control, as Christy, with your business or your life?
right? I feel like this is like
I'll flip it back on you.
the therapeutic conversation that I have in my head every time things are really hard, and especially, like, anytime there's a relationship that's hard, whether that's at home or at work or in the community, like, wherever it is, like, if you're dealing with people, sometimes it's tricky dealing with people. I
Yeah,
mean, yes, of course, we'd like to believe that everything's great and everybody loves us all the time and it's all working and we get what we want, but really, like, we're dealing with people. Gosh, you're dealing with
yeah,
homeowners. That's, like, my worst nightmare. So, and
yeah, but I think we both are in spots where we're dealing with kind of a stressful situation. Taxes and moving, those both are stressful, so we're dealing with
well, it's like
awesome clients,
and
but
it's their
it's
stuff, it's their
stressful.
lives, you know what I mean? Like, this stuff really
Yeah,
does matter to them, and it matters to us too, like, we wanna take care of people, but I've had to come back quite a few times and focus on, like, "Hey, what can I actually control?" Like, and
yeah,
I think about that, like, in a way of, like, okay, with my kids or with my husband, if somebody isn't acting the way I want them to act or doing what I want them to do, well, I can't actually control that, so I have to
you
kinda,
can't.
like, eventually regulate my emotions and come back to what can I do? Okay, well, I can control what I do. and I can control what I say, and I can still make choices of what I wanna do. My
Mhm.
default is usually to be like, "Oh, man, now I can't do anything. It's all their fault." No matter who it is, you know what I mean? Like, "Oh, man, these people are the worst, and now because of that, I have to do X, Y, and Z," when it's like, "Oh, wait a minute. Can I control?"
Yeah, well, it's kinda interesting because going through my life now, I have a 18-month-old and still very little, but I'm kinda learning that I can't control him as much as I wish. And, we talked to my wife and I we're talking to friends and other family members that have older kids now, and we're starting to get little tidbits of their advice for how to raise kids because we're in it now. And one of the advices that my wife's aunt kind of told us recently is you can't control them, but you can connect with them. And so we just discussed how we can do that with our kids and basically, you can connect with them, and if you connect with them really well, you'll have a little bit more influence, but you can't control what they actually do, and so that's kinda tricky because you got these kids in your lives that are gonna make some silly decisions, and the best you can do is try to connect with them. Because if you try to control them, I'm sure you've seen it in your life with friends and family, you'll push them away.
Yeah. It backfires, like, every time, right? Like,
Yeah.
no movie or book or history of anybody shows that the
Yep.
just control method actually gets people what they want, right? Because what we want is we want everyone to be their own person and to make their own choices. Now,
Yeah.
we want them to be good choices and preferably what our definition of good
Yeah.
choices is.
Yeah. But it's not their definition.
I know. So the other thing that came up when you said that, I thought about, like, with clients and the things that I can control. So we work in mass, right? So we work with thousands of people. We do thousands and thousands of tax returns every single year. So knowing that, like, we know we're gonna make mistakes, like, it would be impossible. We are dealing with
To not, yeah.
too many data points and people that we would not make errors. Now we have systems and checks and balances and all these things, but, like, we also know what's gonna happen. We plan for that. We plan to fix things, and I remember one of the first times, maybe 3 years in, that I had just goofed on somebody's taxes, and the client came in, and he was mad. He was really mad, and again, I hadn't goofed up very often, like, this is not the norm, but I when he came in, he was mad, and of course, he was mad at our staff, and he's mad at me when we come in, and I remember just sitting with him and, like, just realizing, yep, I've totally goofed up, and kind of shifting that, and maybe out of survival because I don't know what else to do. Do I yell this guy back? Like, "You get out of my office." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but no, I know that I did something wrong, and maybe I don't like his reaction to it, but I have done something wrong. And kinda shifting to what I could control, which his name wasn't Bob, but I remember saying something, and we went back and forth, multiple times and saying, "Bob, this is what I can do. I can fix it, I can correct the return, I can
Yeah.
we'll take care of it. We're not gonna charge you for this, like, but this is what I can do." And kind of putting that in parameters because I couldn't undo it. I
Yeah.
undo my mistake as far as, like, make it have never happened. Now I can make it as if it never happened and fix it now after he's gone through stress and discomfort. I'm sure he got an IRS letter or something like, that's very s like, nobody wants an IRS letter, but I couldn't make him like me. I make even be happy with me. And most clients, I would say 90% of the time when I make a mistake, clients are nice about it. Like, we own up to it, we fix it. They
Yes.
don't then ream us and leave terrible reviews, they know that we're human. But we everybody's not gonna react that way, and so, like, in this situation, well, I wanted him to just like me and be like, "Oh, yeah, Christy, you made a mistake. We still love you. We'll be clients forever." Doesn't always work like that, and so, um, all I could control, right, is, "Bob, this is what I can do for you. I can fix this, I can do that," and then I had to, like, accept that and now Bob's probably gonna leave a bad review, and Bob's kinda gonna hate me, and I can't even hate Bob for that because Bob's got a point. You know, like, trying to shift that too, so it's not just this rhetoric of all these terrible people. I can't believe they said this about me, or I can't believe they left a bad review. Well, we goofed. And so that was a powerful lesson that I remember because that was very uncomfortable, but
Mhm.
it was the only thing I could control. So it's like, here, Bob, this is what I control. I can't control the rest of the stuff. So also, like, we don't need to sit here with you yelling at me for another hour because I can't
Yep.
control it. I can't. This is all I can control and fix. But that's one of those I might be scarred for life. It's way, 'cause
Yeah.
then you remember, like, you don't wanna do that again. It makes it more painful next time, like, "Oof, let's not do that again. Let's not make that same mistake."
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So in my world of moving people, we are expected to move 100 to 200 items and not break a single one, not scratch a single one, not ding a single wall, and it happens. And it doesn't happen often, and it used to happen more. And so, kind of going back to the things you can control and can't control, it was happening a little too often. Like a year ago, we were getting a little too many phone calls. Hey, the movers were awesome. They were super polite, and I feel like we have great employees, but they did damage this thing just a little bit. And so I was like, how do I control this more? And I kind of had to look at our training process, and I had to almost redo it. And I implement this principle into my business called slow is fast, fast is slow. I don't know if you've heard that one before.
Oh, no, I like it. Say it again.
Slow is fast, fast is slow. And I say it to all my team somewhat often. And it's basically, if you do things the fast way, you'll make more mistakes. And then it becomes the slow way. So if you do things the slow way, the right way, then it becomes the fast way because you're not making those mistakes. And I use an example of like, hey, let's say we move a TV pretty fast. We don't wrap it up properly or box it up properly, and we break that TV. And let's say I want to be a good guy about it and actually get them a new TV instead of, my contract says we only reimburse so much, and that's how every moving company is. But if I want to be a good guy, let's say I'm out 600 bucks making it right with the client, that takes 4 to 5 hours of labor to make up in revenue. So literally by shortcutting 5 minutes in that example, that took 5 extra hours to make up. And so I feel like my guys are a lot more dialed in and we've had a lot less claims come through. But that was something I didn't think I could control for a while is how my guys are doing on the team. But it's just kind of reiterating the principles of slow is fast, fast is slow. Don't cut corners. Even if things take a little bit longer, trust me, the client will be happy. So but I've definitely had those upset customers in the past. Luckily, not over anything priceless or family heirlooms. Knock on wood. Can you guys see this? But,
I hear it.
yeah, yeah,
That's all.
they're like, "What was that noise?" But, you know, different items and, you just gotta roll with the punches, but it's fun.
Oh, don't you love it? We're learning. People always asking, "How's it going? How's business going?" My response almost always is, "Oh, we're learning. We're learning so many things every day. We're learning, and we're figuring that one out, and we're not gonna do that one again, or we're certainly not gonna try to do that one again." But I like that. The things that we can control, you focus on the things that you can control, and then how do you not be bothered by the stuff you can't control?
That is easier said than done, I think, but I don't know. I'm a personality type that I'm just a little happy-go-lucky, so for me, I don't feel like I get so caught up in things like that, and I have for sure, but overall, I feel like I can just keep moving on with my life, but that's kind of a skill you gotta obtain is being okay to let things happen how they are, come what may and love it, right, and keep moving on, but easier said than done.
Well, it's kind of that idea of momentum, right? When they look at, like, people who are successful or, successful or businesses that are successful, like, it's not necessarily that they're brilliant. It's not necessarily that that they had a great idea or were first to the market, not even those things, that they kept going. That because things always get hard and fail, and you're gonna make a mistake or tick somebody off, or something's going to happen that it all burns down, but, like, the successful people just kept going. They took that momentum and just kept moving forward instead of
Yep.
rolling up into a ball and saying, "I'm never doing taxes ever again because I'm terrible at it." Well, no, I'm not. I made a mistake.
Yeah, friend that just recently told me he hasn't done his taxes in 4 years.
Oh,
And he works for the government in some facet, I'll just leave it at that, but it's so comical, and I'm like, "Huh, I wonder if these government places make sure you do your taxes to work for them." Apparently
well,
not.
for sure that all the IRS is crazy about it if you work for the IRS. We have a ton of clients actually because there's a big station, location here in Ogden. And so, like, we have a ton of IRS employees that come get their taxes done because the IRS is crazy. Like, you can't file late. Like, you will lose your job if you don't file your taxes. But the other entities, the other government, I don't think they're paying attention. But
Yeah.
friend, if you're out there and you have 4 years of taxes to file, we could take care of that for you. We could totally take.
I'll give him your number, he needs some help.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
it just gets overwhelming, right? Like, anytime that things get overwhelming, I think the flight the fight or flight response kicks in, right? So it's like, either we're gonna bust through it or deny
Yep.
it or just kinda do nothing. I tend to freeze. How about just nothing? I'll just crawl back into bed today. Things get rough. I think that's totally it. So, Dallan, okay, so I'm so glad that you joined us. And by the way, a little plug for Dallan because he did help us. We were having some problems with our mics, and he, for like 30 minutes, helped us troubleshoot all these things. So this man knows how to just solve the problems. So whatever it is, we appreciate that. I want to turn the last couple of comments just over to you. So I'm gonna not say anything in my mic, and you have another 2 minutes. Just basically share anything you want to share. You can plug your business, plug yourself, whatever it is. We want to have these last couple minutes just be left to you.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I guess just a quick background on me. I'll just share a quick story of how I started this business. So, I was doing sales door to door, pest control for a couple years, and I like sales. I like people a lot, and then I did business to business, and I really liked it. And I was working for a company in Salt Lake that was selling packaging supplies, and it was great, and I was doing pretty good as a sales rookie is what they called it. But then COVID happened, and it just basically it tanked my book of business. And so they let me go. They let a lot of other salespeople go. It's just we were the easy ones to let go with, the COVID happening. And then I had a couple bad bosses, and basically I remember I got a new job at this place, also doing sales. In the second week, my boss yelled at me for no reason. It wasn't justified, and I'm all for criticism and if there was something to work on, but the next day his daughter worked there as well, and she came up to me and she's like, "I saw my dad yell at you." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Sorry, he lost a big client." And I just kind of decided that day that I can't work here. I can't work for a hothead like this that made me question everything. And so at that point, I had a friend that started a moving business in Utah County, and he gave me the confidence. I talked to him. He gave me the confidence to start Anywhere Movers, and so that's kind of where we're at now. It's been 3.5 years. It has been awesome. I love helping people move. It's considered one of the top 5 stressful things people do in their life. And, so when you start helping a client, oftentimes they're very stressed. You can feel the tension, but it's been really kind of fun to chat with them, and they can see that we're gonna take care of their stuff, and you can feel that tension, that stress level come down, and at the end, they loved working with us, and I feel like owning a business like that where I can make an impact like that on people has been so rewarding. I have loved it, and I've loved growing it, and so I'm hoping it goes really good over the next 5, 6 years. Who knows what will happen? Maybe I'll keep this business forever, but I hope I grow it to an awesome point. So, yeah, just my little plug. If you are moving out there, we're good people to work with, and all I can really say is we will take care of you in a really good way. We're very upfront with our pricing. You hear in the industry, I don't know if you've personally heard any horror stories with movers, but I've heard the stories where people move out of state to a new place, and the movers, before they unload their truck, they're like, "Oop, that took longer than we thought. That was a lot more work than we thought. Let's give you an extra $3,000." And that's out there in the industry. It's garbage, and it's not legal, of course. It's not ethical, but it happens. And so moving can be a very scary situation, and we're just a good company to work with.
All right, Dallan, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, and we'll hopefully see all of you next time.
Well, the end. Shh.
Shh, tell me everything.
That's right. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you for tuning in to an episode of
Shh.
Tell Me Everything. This podcast is proudly hosted by PackTax and produced by Techne Innovations. We drop new episodes 4 times a month, so be sure to subscribe and never miss out. See you next time, and keep those secrets coming.